Let's see if I can hold my books up the right way this time. Guys, it's Sarah and I'm back with my second video. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about homosexuality and gender in fantasy. It sounds probably a little bit intimidating. Pretty much I've been reading the Realm of the Elderlings books and they discuss gender heavily and homosexuality in some of the characters, and I really wanted to talk about it because I had some opinions. So that's what I'm going to do today. If I look over there, my laptop's there with my notes. Sorry about that. Pretty much I've been reading the Realm of the Elderlings books. There's some specific things that have happened in some of the books that I wanted to talk about directly. An event that occurs in the Assassin's Quest book, which is the third book in the Farseer trilogy. And I'm also going to talk about an event that occurs in the Golden Fool specifically, which is the second book in the 20-Man trilogy, which is the second trilogy in the trilogy of trilogies. I know it's a lot, but yeah, that's pretty much the situation that we're in. So, that will mean that there could be some spoilers. I'm not going to be talking about any major events, but yeah, just in case, if you don't want to be spoiled for anything at all, ever, don't watch this unless you don't care about spoilers, in which case there will be some minor events. I'm not going to tell you how the story ends or anything shitty like that. I'm not a jerk. Just a warning. So let's get into it. So first off, an introduction to the books, kind of. The characters that I want to talk about are Fitz and the Fool. So Fitz, we'll start off with, is our main character. We start the book when he's 6 years old and we read up until, or at least where I'm up to, he's around 35, 36-ish. We learn a lot about him obviously over that time because that's many years to be reading about a character from. And then a background about the Fool. When we first see him is the court jestery kind of person. He's a really strange character. We don't really learn a lot about him until later in the books, I guess. We get a bit better of an idea, but his character development is sort of a bit of a trickle. He's not the main character and he's not heavily a focus in all of the books. However, the books that I'm talking about, he is a main side character. Yeah, so we learn a bit more about him. What I'm going to get into now is what I want to talk about. We've made it! Fitz and gender norms and homophobia. Fitz comes across pretty homophobic, to be honest, throughout the books. He makes some pretty homophobic comments throughout the series. And then on top of that, as far as a gender stereotype, Fitz gets really embarrassed about any kind of personal weakness, whether it's a physical or a mental weakness. He talks about being embarrassed about people seeing him in pain all the time, and he has seizures at times, and he's really ashamed of his seizures, and I just think that that's really weird. It just kind of gets a bit tiresome. It's really repetitive, and I just got a bit over it after a while. Just shut up, dude. People experience pain, and it's not less masculine to experience pain. Secondly, Fitz has some very rigid views about relationships, men and women. That is all that is acceptable in his eyes. And I feel like he is kind of representative of the culture of the Six Duchies, which is the world, the country, the landscape that this takes place in. It's not the entire world, but it is a major part where a lot of these stories take place in, and I feel like Fitz's opinions about relationships are representative of the accepted opinion socially, which kind of sucks. And then specifically there is a scene in this book where Fitz and a friend get into an argument about the Fool's relationship with Fitz. So one of the characters believes the Fool to be a woman, and Fitz has always been under the impression that the Fool is a man. The woman believes that the Fool is in love with Fitz in a romantic way, and Fitz gets really affronted by it. He's like, oh, how could you think that? That's totally repulsive. Flips out really just weirdly about it, and I just thought, come on, man, grow up, be a bit mature about it. If that's not what you think, then that's... But, someone else expressing an opinion that possibly another character that isn't even confirmed, and Fitz, flips out over it. It's dude, chill. That's pretty much a bit of an overview of Fitz's gender opinions and homophobia and stuff. The next thing, so we've got the Fool. Up until this point, we don't really know a lot about the Fool, and so I was of the opinion that there was this weird homophobic undertone, and I wasn't really feeling it. It didn't ruin my opinion of the series as a whole, but I just thought it was weird, and I wasn't into it. And then I started reading the Toyman trilogy, and you learn a lot more about the Fool. He's a bigger character in these books, and I was pretty interested in, you know, the Fool's a great and interesting character, and it really pushed back on the opinions that I'd sort of built in my mind that this was going to be like another homophobic or not even inclusive fantasy story, whatever. The Fool never discloses his gender, and it is a debated topic. You know, like I said, in the Assassin's Quest books, there is a discussion about whether the Fool is a man or a woman. There is a trilogy in between these trilogies, set in a different part, the live ship traders right there, where the Fool appears as a woman known as Amber, and yes, it's not a thing. Like, the Fool is quite comfortable with how he presents himself. He's happy for people to refer to him as a man or a woman. He never asks or says anything about it. He's just chill. He is who he is. He's really, he just kind of rebounds any kind of weird things that people say to or around. People tend to be really uncomfortable around him, but he doesn't really affect him in any way. In The Golden Fool, it becomes apparent that the Fool actually has romantic feelings for Fitz. And that comes about, or our knowledge of that happens because Fitz is eavesdropping on a conversation the Fool is having with someone who knows him to be a woman, so who refers to him as Amber and as a her, and Fitz overhears this and is totally appalled, repulsed, words. He's sickened by the idea and really aggravated by the idea that the Fool has lied to him all this time, that does he really know who the Fool is? Like, you know, if he's this Amber person, why is he letting these people think that he loves Fitz? And, like, how dare they? How dare the Fool be that way? Like, I thought we were friends. And, like, he makes this huge deal about how, you know, it's unfair that the Fool would ever lead people to thinking that, you know, he's a homosexual and, that's disgusting, ew. And it, like, I don't know, it just, it didn't sit right with me. But then I think about it, I'm like, but the Fool as a character in this series is really interesting because he doesn't, you know, define himself by his gender or his sexuality or anything like that, and yet his gender and sexuality go against the norm of what has been set in the narrative. There's a quote, actually, I don't know where it is in the book. I wish I had made a note of it. But pretty much there's a quote, which I shall read from my laptop now. You seek a false comfort when you demand that I define myself for you with words. Words do not contain or define any person, but a heart can if it is willing. And that's something the Fool said to Fitz in this book towards the end. I don't remember where. It says a lot about their friendship. It says a lot about the Fool and his opinions about gender, and because pretty much they get into this massive argument because Fitz eventually confronts the Fool about it, and, you know, he's like, how could you do this? You know, people are going to think that we're in love, and ew, that's gross. And then the Fool's just like, why do you give a shit what anyone thinks? Like, we know it's our friendship, it's our connection, it doesn't matter what other people think. This whole situation has made me think about fantasy in general, and to boil down my opinions into a concise thought, we are reading in the realm of the Elderlings about a society where there are two kinds of magic. There is the skill where you can connect with people telepathically and communicate, and then there's the wit where you can form intense bonds and communicate with animals. There are dragons, there are giant sea serpents, like there are pirates, there's all this crazy stuff, but you can't have homosexual people? Like, what the hell? Why is that a thing? And it's a thing in so many fantasy stories. Like, there's all these, we're expected to believe all these crazy thing, magic and wonder and beauty, and it's like, they're fantastic. I love reading fantasy, but like, how is it so inconceivable that homosexual people could exist in this world? Like, what? What? Why? Why is that a thing? Like, I don't conclusion, I started off reading the Farseer trilogy thinking it was going to be the run-of-the-mill, homophobic, whatever, and I wasn't offended by it. It didn't stop me reading it, it didn't stop me enjoying it. It was just a thing in the back of my mind where I was just like, stop with the homophobic comments, please, Fitz. And then I started learning more about The Fool, and I started thinking, wow, this is a progressive, pretty progressive story, I guess, I don't know if progressive's the right word, but, it has the potential to be pretty progressive about what it says about gender and homosexuality and all that kind of stuff. And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't really know what I think, and I'm kind of hoping that develops, that, Fitz will grow over the course of the story, because I am at the moment, the middle point of this, the Fitz and the Fool's story together, and words. My goal was to make this video at a checkpoint, so to speak, that once I'm finished the series, I can go back to this and say, actually, Fitz does grow as a person, and what this series as a whole says about homosexuality and gender is good, or damn, what a missed opportunity. I don't really have anything conclusive to say about it other than it started off shit and it got better. Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That is my thoughts. Hopefully I've managed to convey my thoughts in a coherent, consumable manner. I tried my best. I filmed this a couple of times and it kept on coming out as word salad. I don't know what was going on. I guess it's because I have conflicting thoughts about these books. But yeah, so that's my thoughts. That's my checkpoint on Fitz and the Fool. I would love to continue this discussion as I read more and as the characters develop, hopefully. Thank you for watching my video. This is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna be making more. Woohoo! So bye for now, not forever. Woohoo!